Hi, this is Fish, the only singing, talking and dancing fish in the world, on the phone to glorious sunny LA from Arudy, Scotland, and you're listening to Dave J on KCLA Radio.
Okay, so on the line now, I have great pleasure in talking to singer, songwriter, actor, raconteur, Fish. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Don't forget the gardener bit as well.
So, you're just about to undertake a US tour in promotion of your latest album, 13th Star. And I just want to congratulate you on that because it's doing very well at the moment. All the reviews I've read are saying it's possibly your best solo album to date. So that must be very gratifying for you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think having just turned 50 last month, it's pretty good to have something like that just as your recent album. I mean, it was released last year, and it's just been the reviews have been stunning. I was really proud of the reviews. I mean, my solo career has been really up and down since I left Marillion. I mean, I've had some great albums, and I've had some stuff that's not been particularly well received, but I've always kept on, stepping up to the plate and smacking them away. And this one seems to have, gone as a home run, which is really cool. It was born in a particularly dark year, and it was definitely born in trauma. So, I mean, to be able to take all that and move it on, and as I said, I mean, I think it's a good indication and a good sign for other musicians as well. I mean, there's so many times when you kind of go why the hell am I doing this? And let me actually just give it up. And then to be able to pull one out of the can, like this, down the line, it just goes to show you that, I mean, it is a roller coaster. I mean, having a career in the music business, it's not a straightforward, straight line, ascent from entering into the business to, stardom. You do take your ups and downs, and it's how you run them that I think defines you as an artist.
And with regard to your music, I was wondering, is there any particular point where you think, hey, I'm onto a winner here? Is it, the actual writing process? Or is it the recording process when you're actually in the studio? Or do you always think that what you're doing is your best work and then, once it's completed, you just hand it over to, I guess, the general public or the critics and, wait for their feedback?
Well, I think what you do, I mean, when you enter a new album, you're always full of positivism and, you're always full of hope and you've got high expectations, and as you pointed out, you try and do the best you can, but I think it's determined by the team you've got around you. I mean, there's so many different factors that have all got to fall into place at the same time to really make a great album. I mean, I've had albums like Field of Crows, I mean, Fellini Days, Rainbows or Zippos, that have all, in the writing stages, we're going, this is brilliant. But when it moved through into the studio and it moved into into the control of the studio and into the production, I think if the production had been slightly slicker, if I'd brought in somebody like Callum Malcolm, who produced this new album, the 13th Star album. I mean, Callum's done the Blue Nile, he's done Nazareth, he's done Simple Minds, he's done a lot of acts, and he's got, as they say, great ears. And I think, I look at this and go, if I'd brought in somebody like that, then I think those albums might have made more impact. But on this album, I mean, there was Steve Vancis, my bass player, was writing with me for the first time. It was the first time he'd ever been involved in writing songs. So, he had an edge to him. He wanted to really prove himself and show everybody that he could write and show me that he could write. There was a lot of pressure on him to deliver because he offered these services when I was out on the 20th anniversary of the Misplaced Childhood album, which we called Return to Childhood. And I'd gone out on that tour, to try. I wanted to try and, I wouldn't say find myself. That's a little bit fairy-like, but I mean, I didn't feel I was ready to go into the studio, and I really wanted to just go out and spend some more time on the road and just, gather up some more experiences. And I think it was playing Misplaced Childhood, which was the big Marillion album in 1985. Yeah. I think I was enjoying the drama of it. I was enjoying the dynamic, the light and shade of it. I was enjoying the kind of textures of the music. But of course, saying it 20 year on, it was I had a kind of different approach to it. My voice was different. Also I've been working as an actor, so, a lot of that stuff that I've done in film, you kind of bring onto the stage. And, singing an album like that, I mean, it is such a dramatic album. It was more like a theatre piece than anything else. Yeah. And it was that, I think, that gave us the start point in as far as the kind of overall colour and shape of the album. I think that was what gave us the kick-off into the writing of 13 Star. But 13 Star was defined by a relationship that I was in, that I'd come out of and then went back into again in 2007. You know, there was a lot of very high emotion about, and on the first week of recording, way back in late May last year, you know, I was supposed to be getting married, and I was supposed to get married in August, and 10 weeks before the actual wedding, 2 days after the invitations were sent out, my then fiancée just turned around to me and said, "I'm not getting married, I'm leaving," and I've never seen her since. And so you can imagine the kind of, I mean, that was like being torpedoed, and you know, when you really didn't expect it. So I mean, you know, going into the recording project, as I said, that happening on the first week of the album, it was, it definitely, it caused some problems with me, you know. And of course, because my house is my studio, I mean, you know, you move the furniture. I mean, it was a full commercial recording studio, which was kind of closed down to the kind of general public in 1998. And I started to live here, but I've still retained the studio. So when we were actually recording it, I'm actually singing it, and they were all working in exactly the same environment as the relationship was kind of born and was destroyed in. So, you know, again, there's a lot of very powerful emotions about the guide of the album. And as I said, Steve Vance's position as like a new writer, Callum Malcolm coming in and working with me as a full producer, for the first time, and having a really great band around me, which happened to be the band as well that's going to be on the tour when we come into play at LA in a couple of weeks.
Right, so that sounds like a very intense period you were going through right then. Did you ever stop and think, maybe I should hold off for a while, it's not the best time to record? Or do you think it actually helped in you know, the creative process and the emotions that you put into the record?
I didn't have the time, right? Because what I was in, I mean, you know, I decided I'd structured the writing and the recording of this album around a far more kind of disciplined time frame than I'd ever done before. I mean, having your own studio can make you, you know, it can lead you into, as I've done in previous albums, where you go, yeah, it's a studio, it's not really costing us anything. Well, and then you get everybody together and you kind of write and record simultaneously. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is not a particularly good idea. And sometimes you can get lost and you can get sidetracked by certain things that happen around you and things, and, you know, days become weeks, become months. And this project, it was like, okay, we're going to write between January and the end of April, right? In May, we've got 2 weeks for the band coming together, tidying up, and then we've got the producer coming in for 6 weeks, and that's it, bang. So once I declared that was the framework of how we were going to make the album, nothing could really get in its way. I mean, there was no point. I mean, even though, you know, the relationship collapsed or exploded, you know, on the first week of recording, I mean, if I turned around and walked away and taking some time out of myself, then I would have lost the producer. Right. If I'd lost the producer, I would have lost the recording time. With that, I was going to be losing the touring pattern that I'd set up in the summer and through into September. So there was no choice. I had no choice but to carry on. And I'm glad I did, because it made me concentrate on what I was supposed to be doing. It made me concentrate on the album rather than concentrating on kind of heartbreak or shit or whatever you want to call it, you know?
Well, I guess despite what you were going through emotionally at the time while you were recording it, it seems to have paid off on a creative level, because it's probably one of your most successful solo albums to date. So all in all, it must have been a pretty bittersweet experience when you look back at it.
It's yin and yang to the extreme. I mean, absolutely to the extreme, you know? And it's, I find it incredibly ironic that my ex-fiancée, it's like extremely soon after we split, she met some guy who she's now pregnant to and engaged. So she's got the baby and she's got the marriage that she was wanting, and I got a great album out. I'll take that. Thank you. I think, as I said, taking an album like that, I mean, I think at the end result, I mean, the marriage was doomed. You know, it was a relationship that was doomed from the start. I mean, we were not meant for, you know, it wasn't meant to be. And it's like, I'd rather have taken the album than taking the divorce in 6 months, you know what I mean?
So having come through that, it seems like everything's going pretty well for you right now. And as I said at the beginning, you're just about to embark on a US tour, which is the first time in quite a while.
You know, I've wanted to come back, but I've never had the circumstances that made sense. And obviously, you know, to commit to an American tour, it's a huge financial commitment. And it's a big risk. I mean, if something goes wrong out there, it goes horribly wrong, you know? Yeah. And it's you can very quickly find yourself in a major hole. So, you know, the planning and setup of this entire tour has been as meticulous as it could possibly be. But even on that, I mean, I'm coming out to the States, and, with all the cost of visas and the bureaucracy that surrounds all the hoops that you've got to jump through to get to the point where you're even getting on a plane, they're immense. Personally, I'm earning nothing off this tour whatsoever. And we're completely dependent on selling merchandise and selling the back catalogue that we're carrying with us on the tour. So, I mean, it's very much guerrilla warfare when we come out. I mean, we've got no record company support. I mean, we're out there on our own doing this, which is, it's exciting. And I'm a production manager, Yatta, has done an incredible job in the last 2-3 months just preparing the ground and setting this up. I mean, what's gone on into this 3-week, 4-week American tour, right, is basically the amount of energy and the amount of headwork that's gone into it. It's what you normally expect to put into a 9-month European tour. I mean, it's been that intense.
Right, I was going to say in relation to that, you're pretty much self-financed these days. You don't have a large record label behind you to subsidise you or give you advances. So how much of a risky undertaking is it to have to organise this tour yourself? And
Yeah, I mean, it's something I wanted to do. I mean, as I said, it's not guided by, a money-making force, It's something I want to do. It's like, I've got a chance, I've got the Nearfest guys out on the East Coast offering me a festival, and it involved, we were getting a festival wage for this, right? Yeah. And that basically underwrote the tour, and I turned around to my agent, Larry Webman, who's a great wee guy at Paradigm Agency, and I said to him, look, well, we're coming out to do this one gig. I said, what about asking about it and just see if we could maybe put some other gigs around it? And he phoned me back in about 2 weeks, and he said, look, we've got these offers in, and we've got offers from LA. I mean, the interest was incredible, and I just went, well, if it all makes financial sense, if the offers are there and the guarantees are there, then let's go for it, let's have a crack at it. So it's bang. So, I mean, it's a bit like, I'm going out there, it's going to be an adventure for me again, I mean, as I said, if we can break something out, 13 Star is and I think, and a lot of other people think it's the best album I've ever made. And I think, I think it could be in tune with America this time. I think it's the first album I've had for a long time that I think could maybe create a ripple across there. And if that ripple becomes a wave, then I'm ready for it, But, it ain't going to happen if you don't try. At the point of sitting there going, well, we might get something going in America. You won't get anything going in America unless you come out and just test the water. And this is what I'm doing. I'm coming out to test the water with this tour and see what's going. And if it works, hey, I've got 10 albums or so behind me that if one works, then it'll lead. And hey, why not? I mean, the great thing about America is it's not as ageist as especially the UK, who are obsessed with like kind of 90-year-old bands. I mean, There's still a huge space in America for what you might call classic rock. So why not have a crack at it? And like I said, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to meet a lot of people I've not seen for a long time. I've meet a lot of fans that haven't been able to afford to come across to UK to see us, right, or coming to Europe to see us. So hey, let's go across and have fun. It'd be for a couple of my guys. It's the first time they've ever been in the States, so it's going to be fun all round.
Yeah.